In Colombia, the debate on the healthcare reform moves forward as 88 legislators vote in favor of 12 more articles of the bill. The government of Panama has assured that there is no toll adjustment for any vessel arriving from the United States. And the leaders of the European Union hold an emergency meeting to discuss the situation in Ukraine and the rift with the United States. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Stay with us. In Colombia, the debate on the healthcare reform moves forward. Close to midnight on Wednesday, 88 legislators voted in favor of 12 more articles of the bill. 21 dissenting votes were not enough for the extreme right to prevent the approval of key articles 14 to 20, which are related to the primary healthcare accounts and the strengthening of the public hospital network. The debate, which lasted more than 7 hours, was preceded by an attempt to postpone it, with the progressive parliamentarians prevented. 8 more articles remain to be debated starting Thursday at 8 a.m. local time, and Representative Marta Alfonso highlighted the importance of the achievements obtained.
Being almost 12 o'clock at night, the session is adjourned, in which we finally made progress in the approval and discussion of the health reform. So far, 55 articles of 62 have been approved. Now we have left a package of new articles endorsed and not endorsed that we will have to discuss. But well, this is finally unlocked.
And Venezuelans spread out all over the country to pay tribute to Supreme Leader Commander Hugo Rafael Chávez Frías on the 12th anniversary of his physical departure, amidst nostalgia and commitment. Leonardo Urrieta tells us more.
Desde tempranas horas de la mañana, la ciudad de Caracas.
Since early in the morning, the city of Caracas, in the populous parish of 23 de Enero, witnessed how the Chavista people visited the mountain barracks, emblematic site of the capital, where the remains of Commander Chavez, who governed Venezuela along with the people between 1999 and 2013, rest. A tribute called In Your Hands Is Your Flame was held at the place, a meeting in which honor was paid to the civic-military union promoted by Commander Chavez, and which is the basis of the fight against the actions of the extreme right, the defense of the sovereignty and dignity of the Venezuelan people.
He was a man who gave his life for social justice, inclusion, love, the rescue of our own idiosyncrasy, and above all that the Constitution be respected with the full independence of our Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela.
Remembering Chavez for me is something very nice. Every time I remember him, I cry, because for us he is the best thing that has happened to Venezuela, for our children, for our grandchildren. This is not for us, this is for our grandchildren.
Chavez, besides being a political leader, touched the heart of the Venezuelan people with the forenow of February 4th, 1992. The genuine love between the people and Commander Hugo Chavez grew until it became invincible.
Chavez awakened this revolutionary people, this Bolivarian people. Thanks to him, the boot of the United States will never again tread on us, because we learned, from our eternal commander, many things, to survive with blockade, without blockade, with economic war or without economic war, we are surviving, moving forward and taking our country forward.
It is an honor to have him in our office, to have him in our homes, because he fought so hard for us and gave his life for the Venezuelan people.
Hugo Chavez fue el pionero en América Latina y el Caribe en
Hugo Chavez was the pioneer in Latin America and the Caribbean in raising the flags in the defense of women, whose protagonism made women of the world and the continent feel visible and included in the project for the development of programs that benefit the population.
Porque al declarar
Because by declaring state policy, Bolivarian feminist socialism, what did it do?
Bolivariano y feminista que hizo reconocer al
To recognize the human race, that we are the women and men of the world.
mujeres y los hombres del mundo.
Los venezolanos tienen muy presente la
Venezuelans are very aware of the importance that Commander Hugo Rafael Chavez Frias gave shape to an international geopolitics, vital for the creation of integration mechanisms within the framework of the South-South agenda. In addition to deepening Latin American unity with instances such as Community of Latin American and Caribbean States and ALBA TCP.
But we must also remember him as a man who always wanted the union of all the peoples of the Americas to build and create a great power.
Chávez sigue siendo un símbolo clave.
Chavez continues to be a key symbol for the struggles of the peoples of the world. His geostrategic vision in favor of safeguarding humanity and love of neighbor is recognized by national and international popular movements and organizations.
Esta población jamás olvidará al
This
presidente.
people will never forget the president who gave back the smile and dignity to Venezuelans.
En la Cámara de Jesús Romero y Carlos Quintero, Leonardo Urrieta, Telesur, Caracas, Venezuela.
In other informations, in the Dominican Republic, agents of the Directorate General of Customs discovered a large quantity of machine guns and bullets in a container from the U.S. destined for Haiti. In the Haina port, 36,000 rounds of ammunition of various calibers, 18 assault rifle magazines, 13 9mm magazines, a 50 caliber rifle magazine, a silencer, and 25 firearms were seized. The list also includes a 50mm Barrett sniper rifle, 17 7.62 caliber rifles, a 9mm rifle, 5 9mm Glock pistols, and a UCI submachine gun. This discovery comes in addition to the 37 other Brooklyn firearms that were discovered and seized at the end of February 2025 in the same port. It should be noted that most of the weapons and ammunition used by the criminal groups that murdered the population come from the United States. Mexican law enforcement has seized a substantial quantity of fentanyl hidden within boxes of sliced cactus, a traditional Mexican delicacy known as nopales. The discovery made in the northern state of Sonora included approximately 275,000 fentanyl pills and 32 kilograms of powdered fentanyl. The estimated street value of the seized substances is around $6.5 million. A 29-year-old individual was arrested in connection with the seizure, which also occurred at a military checkpoint along the highway linking Sinaloa and Sonora. The government of Panama assures that there is no toll adjustment for any vessel arriving from the United States. Canal authorities on Wednesday denied statements by the White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt, claiming that they had eliminated tariffs on U.S. ships. The spokeswoman's statements arose in response to a journalist's question regarding President Trump's remarks a day earlier in Congress, where he reiterated that the U.S. will take over the administration of the canal. The Panamanian executive also denied these statements. And now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. After meeting in the United Kingdom, the leaders of the European Union held an emergency meeting to discuss the situation in Ukraine and the rift with the United States. The heads of the bloc and the president of Ukraine are meeting again in Brussels to secure their military defenses and to check that Kyiv is properly protected. Less than 48 hours ago, the United States halted all codes and intelligence exchanges and afterwards deactivated the guidance systems for the HIMARS rocket launchers. In view of this situation, the Ukrainian head of state has asked Washington for a new opportunity to talk about peace. Volunteers in the occupied West Bank are cooking for hundreds of displaced Palestinians, hoping to bring some joy during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. An Israeli incursion that began weeks ago has displaced more than 40,000 people who are not allowed to return to their homes. Most of the displaced have no access to kitchens and are separated from their communities as they struggle to celebrate the end of the day's fast with often big meals. In this context, the Yasser Arafat Charity Kitchen in the town of Tulkarem has been providing meals to up to 700 people daily. Abdullah Kamil, the governor of the Tulkarem region, who is this year extended the charity kitchen to these displaced, said the situation is difficult for a large part of the population. President Donald Trump has issued a provocative ultimatum to Hamas demanding the immediate release of all hostages held in Gaza or face intensified military strikes. His threats, including calls for Hamas leaders to leave Gaza, have been widely criticized for exacerbating an already fragile ceasefire. Hamas responded by rejecting what it described as the language of threats, accusing Israel of violating the truce by blocking humanitarian aid and preventing displaced Palestinians from returning to their homes. The ceasefire brokered in January has already seen delays in hostage releases, further complicating negotiations. Trump's rhetoric has drawn praise from Israel's far-right leaders, but has alarmed many who view his approach as reckless and inflammatory. On Thursday in South Korea, a fighter jet accidentally dropped 8 bombs on a civilian area during training, reportedly injuring 7 people. In a communique, the Air Force explained that the Mk-82 bombs dropped abnormally by the KF-16 fighter fell outside a firing range, causing unspecified damage to civilians. Furthermore, it was clarified in the statement that a committee will be established to investigate the causes of this terrible accident, as well as to examine the extent of the damage caused. The Air Force apologized for the damage caused and wished the injured a successful recovery, to whom compensation and other necessary measures will be actively taken. The Kenyan Peasants League is once again trying to prevent the introduction of genetically modified food and seeds into Kenya through the court system. Oscar Epelde with the details.
They
challenged the sudden lifting of the ban on genetically modified food when William Ruto became president of Kenya in 2022. 2 years later, they were still waiting for the trial to begin. After the High Court ordered the interim suspension of the lifting of the ban, the government's lawyers tried to change jurisdiction. If they eventually succeeded in winning the case, it was when the judge was changed and replaced by another judge.
If
South Africa that has been using it, cancelled it, declared it illegal in that country, why should we Kenyans allow?
The case was closed and the injunction was lifted in November 2024 on the day of this recording.
The state definitely has a lot of machinery behind it. We are up against a huge force, so it will take the efforts of the masses not to allow their health and their lives to be put at peril.
The Peasants' League appeal highlighted the procedural flaws of the presidential cabinet's decision, the lack of public participation, and of the prior scientific reports required by law. Furthermore, it appealed to the principle of precaution in consideration of the risk to health and life if they lose their agricultural and farming techniques and the original seeds that are the basis of what they eat and what they are.
When we harvest, again, do sorting and you select the ones that you feel best that you can again keep for the next season.
If the Court of Appeal now refuses to suspend the introduction of transgenics as a precautionary measure, it could mean the beginning of the end of the systems that farmers are putting in place to protect and promote agroecology.
The data globally says that the world today is producing enough food to feed 14 billion people.
La Liga Campesina Keniana
Kenyan Peasants League rejects arguments about the need for genetically modified seeds as a weapon to fight hunger.
The issue of hunger is not lack of food, it's poverty. People cannot buy the food. So if I don't have money to buy food, to buy indigenous maize now, and you bring GMOs and I still don't have money, how will I buy it?
Uno de los sistemas que están creando es la
One of the systems they are creating is the food co-op, where producers and consumers ensure the production and distribution of healthy food. This undeveloped urban area of Nairobi had a reputation for heroin addiction and crime, but they have joined the food co-op, and thanks to a safe market, they now produce chemical-free food and are growing. They produce care for the environment and expand a model that seeks social justice first.
Esta oficina en donde se coordina la Food Coop de
This office from where the Kangemi Food Co-op is coordinated has just been demolished after this recording last December. But the system devised is working computerized. Anyone living in the urban and rural farming communes can place their weekly order and share shares. The numbers are still small, but it has the potential to leave the people in charge of deciding what they want to eat and be, even if the government does not take any notice.
Son dos modelos confrontados e incompatibles.
These are two confronted and incompatible models. Transgenic seeds accompanied by other legislations that promote mechanized agriculture, cornering the rights of peasants versus agroecology, adapted to the climate crisis, in theory able to feed everyone by cooling the planet.
Desde Kenia, Oscar Repelde para TeleSUR.
And we have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to rewatch our top stories, special live coverage and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Following a short break, we'll be right back. Welcome back to From the South. A fast-moving storm led to an EF1 tornado touching down in Union County, North Carolina on Wednesday morning, according to the National Weather Service. The tornado, which had wind speeds of approximately 145 kilometers per hour, traveled about 3.5 kilometers and was on the ground for roughly 3 minutes. It touched down around 8:30 a.m. in the Porter-Ridge area of Union County. Preliminary reports indicate that the tornado caused damage to trees and buildings, with aerial footage showing a home under construction affected and metal debris scattered into the trees. The storm was part of a broader weather system that prompted tornado warnings in nearby areas, including Chester County, South Carolina. Despite the significant damage, there were no immediate reports of injuries or fatalities. During his 20th day of hospitalization at the Gemelli Hospital in Rome, the Supreme Pontiff continued on non-invasive mechanical ventilation and started motor physiotherapy. The Vatican press office notified that the Supreme Pontiff rested well during the night and that he remains in a stable clinical condition 20 days after his arrival at the Gemelli Polyclinic in Rome. As planned, the Supreme Pontiff resumed non-invasive mechanical ventilation with a mask during the night, following that Pope Francis suffered 2 episodes of acute respiratory insufficiency due to a significant accumulation of mucus in the bronchi, with created spasms, for which he underwent 2 bronchoscopies. In Brazil, the Beija-Flor Samba School won on Wednesday the Rio de Janeiro Carnival competition. The city that hosts the most famous open-air carnival in the world crowned the ensemble as champion after a showcase that paid tribute to late carnival director Laila, who passed in 2021 after a lifetime of contribution to the festivity. Like this, Beija-Flor became the third biggest winner in Rio Carnival's history with 15 titles. For the 2025 competition, the second place went to the Grande Rio School, while the third prize was awarded to the Imperatriz Leopoldinense ensemble. The parade was held as is tradition at Rio's markets, the Sapucaí Sambadrome, in front of 70,000 people and millions of viewers from all over the world. And in Bolivia was announced that the Oruro Carnival in economic terms surpassed initial expectations by nearing $70 million. Our correspondent Freddy Morales brings us the details.
The preliminary report on the economic and visitor movement generated by the Oruro Carnival exceeded the organizers' expectations.
We had estimated in surpassing the 400,000 spectators. For the Carnival of Oruro, it has been surpassed. We have an estimated 500,000 spectators who have participated in this bicentennial carnival, which has generated an approximate income of 450 million Bolivian pesos.
The report states that the number of visitors and economic movement was 30% higher than last year.
These data do not include data on the formal economy, which include handicrafts, food, music, artists' contracts, informal commerce, hairstylists, makeup artists, advertising, hairdressers, and gastronomy, which are the other services that are generated during the celebration of the Oruro Carnival.
And a new support from UNESCO was announced in favor of this carnival to consolidate this folkloric manifestation as a heritage of the Bolivian state. UNESCO authorized the use of an official logo for the promotion of the carnival.
This would be the third recognition that UNESCO has officially developed. The first one has been to declare Oruro an intangible heritage of humanity, the second one in 2003, when it was established as inscribed in the representative list of the cultural and tangible heritage of humanity, and now this recognition granted by UNESCO to consolidate the respect we have for cultural heritage.
Precisely because of UNESCO's mandate, work is being done to consolidate the safeguarding of this cultural manifestation.
We have to work hard, and we are in that field to safeguard it, because the only thing that safeguarding asks of us is that the cultural protection issue is recreated and transmitted to the new generations. If we have the satisfaction of being able to enjoy it, our children can also enjoy it.
La mayor atracción del Carnaval de Oruro es la llamada peregrinación. The main attraction of the Oruro Carnival is the so-called pilgrimage that takes place on Carnival Saturday, with a parade of 50 folkloric groups, made up of more than 50,000 dancers and 18,000 musicians in devotion to the Virgin of Candelaria, whose image is considered miraculous. The 20 most popular and traditional dances of this country are performed in this pilgrimage.
Freddy Morales, teleSUR, Bolivia.
And with the festivities, we have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. For telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.